Orwell said, "If freedom means anything, it's the right to tell people what they don't want to hear. And given what's happened, we can't stay silent anymore. We can't let politicians keep playing with our lives or lying to us. Maybe they can control Spanish radio and TV with their loyal hooligans and fanatics who submit to the cause and stay silent in the face of truth, but they can't control what we citizens feel and think. Because the catastrophe we're living through isn't just natural, it's also political. You'd have to be blind, really blind, not to see that the hatred and political gain between factions have made it unnecessary to even disguise manipulation, because the truth no longer matters. Of course, we live in a failed state that has disastrously failed in its response to a major catastrophe. Everyone's playing a game of tag, with negligence that amounts to the crime of failing to provide assistance and denying aid.
But of course, it seems that this doesn't apply to politicians. It's criminal and someone must pay for it. Therefore, from here I ask that any association, group of volunteers or collectives that have been or are being prevented from moving and providing help by traveling, gather information on when, where, how and by whom, and keep it. We are going to need it. If political and criminal responsibilities are not demanded from the alleged culprits of such an extraordinarily grave negligence, what will we have become? We cannot allow the government to act outside the law, with total impunity, and where we, the citizens, meekly accept that some tyrants completely indifferent to the suffering of others trample on our rights time and again. The incompetence of the sinister political elite is composed of rulers who have proven to be incapable of protecting us, but very capable of abandoning us on a ship adrift at the mercy of the storm. Meanwhile, what we saw and experienced during those first 5 crucial days was a government more concerned with taking over Radio Television Española than saving lives in the midst of a catastrophe, in how the dead could be used for budgets. 5 days that served them to prepare their attack and come out spewing hatred and vomiting filth over media and people. People like Ica, Carmen Porter, Dani de Desocupa, Ángel Gaitón, Pedro Baños Alves, Roberto Vaquero and anyone who has helped to minimize the damage and seek answers in the face of this catastrophe. Because they have left this government at the level of the very mud, after this tragic event, we can't let them come for us or go after them, because now we know if something happens, we have each other. Ica or Carmen Porter, or Ángel Gaitón, or Pedro Baños, or Alves or Dani Desocupa or Roberto Vaquero will help us, not a useless government that exploits us and degrades us. It's tough, but this is the reality of this political system. They turn the country into a bureaucratic machine led by a political lobby of cronies and allies with no interest in its citizens, even denying international aid from leaders like Bukele, Milei, or Macron in the worst moments to save lives. The party system never addresses citizens' needs, only its own. If anyone thought we lived in a democracy, it took you 5 days to start the business. It's insulting that you now speak of solidarity and commitment to those affected. You don't deserve our respect or humanity. You lack soul and feelings. You've touched the most important thing that unites all Spaniards, life and solidarity, crossing all the red lines in democracy regarding rights and freedoms. Never have the Spanish been insulted with such rage and fury. Enough is enough. Enough of playing with our lives. Enough of absolving yourselves of blame and wanting to spread this and your responsibility over the population. Enough of abandoning us. Enough of insisting that we believe your lies and debate the truth. It's outrageous that you turn others' suffering once again into a tool to divide and manipulate. The only truth is that 37,000 Spaniards, due to your alleged criminal negligence, needed rescuing. You took many lives before allowing our public servants' army, police, civil guards, firefighters, international aid to assist from the very start, devastated by the pain and cries for help from their compatriots. Among the children, elderly, and deceased who spent hours crying out in garages, homes, highways, Spain asks how many could have been saved if a national emergency order and deployment of our public servants had been issued from day one. How much desperation, loneliness, and suffering of entire populations left to their fate could have been avoided? How many? This same government that sent the army into the streets to ensure we stayed home during the illegal lockdown now tells us if they need resources, they should ask for them. Mr. Sanchez, the state is not a charity we must ask for help. The state has the obligation to act to aid, rescue, and protect its citizens. Do you sleep well knowing that in a developed country there are compatriots whose world has been reduced to rubble, mud, and sludge, living among rats and vandalism? You must be very miserable to call them marginal elements and order the arrest of citizens who, as their only option, hit a car because they had lost everything, both material and human, who exploded in desperation, pain, helplessness, rage, and anger, left with only their dignity, which you have not managed to drag through the mud, through political arrogance, conceit, and pride. It's horrible to know everything is corrupted to the point of nausea.
Know that for us citizens, it's impossible, unacceptable, despicable, and nauseating to defend any of these politicians who have shown such a lack of empathy, typical of antisocial individuals. Both sides keep politicizing the victim's pain, using every tragedy for political gain instead of offering solutions. This is our moment, wrote the Minister of Equality. You live with no dignity, but if you have any left, admit your mistakes, apologize to a devastated population, and resign. To wrap up, and before I forget, we are the state, right? The people are the nation, and we build the country, as we've shown. Civil society has outdone your responsibility. The people have realized that the state depends on civil society, not the other way around. Indeed, with the late and insufficient response from the leaders, it was the people who, in an unprecedented act of solidarity, rose to help their own. So yes, Mr. Sanchez, of course, we highlight the slogan that only the people save the people, Yowzin. Justice. I can't leave without expressing my condolences to the victims who lost their lives, to their families shattered by grief, and to those who saw everything they had vanish. My gratitude and honor to those who deserve it, to the thousands of volunteers, civil society, our public servants, our private security, to a whole country that sacrificed their health to help the victims, rising above and making solidarity more than just a word. May the tears of Valencia and Spain help this country rise again, because if after this there is no turning point in Spain, we are dead as a nation.